myself wondering, what did happen to the last 10? I ran away with my life, fast forward, never turn back again. It's kind of funny that the more we pass time, the more we need to set the rewind. And 19 was the year I had to leave you, but now I'm seeing all the signs. Is this really happening? I can't believe it's true. I'm just as surprised as you. Is this really happening? I can't be too sure, but one day I'll be yours again. Life lessons come one in a dozen. The other 11 give something from nothing. I sit here looking for an answer. Maybe the biggest question was in the last chapter. You gave me the soul I have today. Without you I never could have moved away. But now I see what you teach. I do believe I always should have stayed. Yeah. Is this really happening? I can't believe it's true. I'm just as surprised as you. Is this really happening? I can't be too sure, but one day I'll be yours again. One day I'll be One day I'll be yours. I'll be yours. Life lessons come one in a dozen. The other 11 get something from nothing. Life lessons.
Hey guys, how are we today? I'm so glad to see you guys. It's only been a week since we were here last, but look at all that's happened. So much has been coming out about the Devil's Den arrest, and something's definitely got to change in that aspect, you guys. Me and Nicole were talking about it, and some of my other friends, and it's like, if something happens at one school, it definitely needs to follow that teacher wherever they go next, some kind of like national database or something. And then you guys, about the quadruple murder in Tennessee, I had been following that very, very, very closely, and I started to go live about it and talk to you guys about it, and there was a lot of misinformation out there. And to be honest, looking into it, it was reminded me of one of my exes, and it just got to be too much. So I had to set that one aside. But this one today, I don't see a lot of people speaking about it. And this is a quadruple murder, too, you guys. And it deserves just as much awareness. The suspect is still at large. He's not been captured yet, the last that I checked. And so I figured that I would do my little part to raise awareness today about that. But first, you guys, there is a missing baby in Kentucky that I want to speak about. There is Trooper Gayhart, and I have a video for us too. You guys remember when you guys hear his voice, he speaks in the video that I have, and when you hear his voice, it'll hit you. He is the same trooper. It's out of the Hazard Post too in Kentucky. The same trooper with the really deep voice that spoke during the sheriff and the judge murder. Remember that? You guys will remember him when you hear his voice. Hey, Neat Noodle, how are you? It's so good to see you. Um, and Tony, good to see you too. Good afternoon. I'm so glad to see you guys. So he made this post and it says Jackson, Kentucky, August 6, 2025 at approximately 9:23 a.m. on Wednesday, August the 6th. Kentucky State Police Post 13 in Hazard received a 911 call regarding a missing juvenile in the Panbowl Branch Road area in the Jackson community in Breathitt County. Hey, Trixie's Creations for you. How are you? It's good to see you. Thank you for joining us. KSP troopers and local search and rescue teams immediately responded to the scene and initiated a search of the surrounding area. A preliminary investigation indicates that 10-year-old Jaden Spicer is believed to have left his residence during the overnight hours or early morning. Jaden is described as a white male, approximately 5 feet 1 inch tall, with a slim build, blonde hair, and blue eyes. He was last seen around 9 p.m. on Tuesday, August the 5th, 2025, at his home on Panbowl Branch Road. Okay, so he was last seen Tuesday at 9 p.m. He was last seen wearing blue Sonic the Hedgehog pajama pants and a matching shirt. Anyone with information regarding Jaden Spicer's whereabouts is urged to contact Kentucky State Police Post 13 in Hazard at 606-435-6069. This investigation is ongoing and is being led by Detective Nathan Roark. I also shared his information on my community post, and if you click on the pictures, you guys, it'll make them bigger, and you can screenshot that and then share it on your social media. I don't even care if you share my channel. You guys know that I always say this, and this is the only picture that I could find anywhere of the little fella. Absolutely adorable. Bless him. Um, so I'll share this video with you guys now. Um, Let me see here. How are you guys? You guys glad for the weekend? I'm glad for the weekend because I've been doing this. It's kind of keto, but not really that strict. It's more low carb and sugar and things like that. But I get one ice cream a week, and I get to have that on the weekend, so I always look forward to that. Okay, so we'll play this. Hey, Debbie.
One of the most exciting steps in searching for a home is when you go from browsing
Oh,
online
we got to
to
get through
connecting with a
this.
home listing agent. That's why Homes.com connects you directly with the home listing agent who knows the most
It
about
won't
the
ever
home
let me
and
skip
surrounding
it
area.
either.
The search for a missing 10-year-old Breathitt County boy continues tonight. State police say Jaden Spicer left his home in the middle of the night on Tuesday.
LAX 18's AJ Patel went to the search area today and learned that crews are more concerned about Spicer as time passes.
Anytime you're dealing with a missing individual, it's very tragic anyway. But then you add in the fact that it's a 10-year-old child, and that completely changes the dynamic of it. In this situation, we're keeping hope alive. We're going to continue to search, but we are racing against the clock.
Kentucky State Police, Breathitt County Emergency Management, and local rescue teams have been searching for Jaden Spicer of Breathitt County since yesterday morning.
The more time that he spends outside in the elements, unfortunately, statistically speaking, the chances of finding him safely diminish.
Spicer was last seen at his mother's home on Panbowl Branch Road in Jackson, right off of Highway 1812. Search and rescue teams are using drones, ATVs, and sonar technology to help locate the child. The child's mother provided a handwritten note to LEX 18.
This note, it says, "We love Jaden and we want him safe at home. Please, if anybody sees my son Jaden Spicer, please report it to the Jackson Police Department. Thank you. We love him very much. Do the right thing. Call." I can't see exactly what it says. I have the note in my notes here. Let me see exactly what it says. It says, "We love Jaden and we want him safe at home. Please, if anybody sees my son, Jaden Spicer, please report it to the Jackson Police Department. Thank you. We love him very much. Please do the right thing. Call the police. Please pray for us and my son, Jaden. Thank you." And people are already talking about the parents, you know how they do, and they're saying things, well, she didn't want her name out, so she gave this note, and JLR already has her picture plastered, and it's just too soon for all of that, and I don't really care about the parents right now, like, not in, I care about them as in I pray for them, and I pray that, nothing went wrong here. I'm not saying that. I'm saying the parents are, I don't care right now. Find the baby. Find the baby and we'll worry about all the other stuff later. You guys feel me?
Saying, "We love Jaden and we want him safe at home." Also asking to report any information about Jaden's whereabouts to the Jackson Police Department.
There's lots of coyotes and you've got the snakes and things at night, so a child or even a young adult, probably even adults, aren't safe out in the woods at night.
Mildred Shannon lives more than a mile away from Spicer's house. She says as soon as her family heard what happened, they checked their security cameras for any signs of the child.
Everyone cares because you wouldn't want your son, your grandson, any child, any young adult. You don't want them lost in the woods at night. It is not safe.
Crews are combing the mountainous 20-mile radius around Spicer's home.
Well, the terrain in itself does make it more difficult.
Trooper Gayhart also says the several bodies of water in the area, like Panhole Lake, makes this search even more complex. All those here working with the hope that their efforts
This is a little bit away from my holler, guys. Well, it's actually quite a bit of ways away from my holler, but it's the exact same. Like, it kind of looks like, I don't know if you guys saw the when the I-75 shooter, they showed some of the terrain there searching for him and how dense it was. It looks like a rainforest, really, you guys. So it would be really, really hard to search in, and it's so hot right now. Oh my goodness, it's bad. Neat Noodle says, "I don't blame them for trying to protect themselves. We have all seen how terrible people have been to parents." Exactly. That's exactly how I feel. And they're low on my list of concerns right now. Like I said, they find the baby. Find the baby right now. That's all that matters. That's all that matters.
turn into a reunion for little Jaden and his family.
Life is very important, and this one's no different. So we'll exhaust everything that we can to make sure that we find him safely and bring him home.
In Breathitt County, AJ Patel, LEX 18 News.
All right, anyone with information about Jaden Spicer is urged to contact Kentucky State Police Post 13 in Hazard. That number on your screen, 606-435-6069.
I'm going to keep up with it. Absolutely, you guys. Hopefully, we can. Hopefully, next week he'll be on. We'll have a good story. He'll be our good story at the end. Let's all pray for that. And the again, the information about him is on my community post, guys. If you'd like to share that, that would be awesome. Um, Music City Mom, I've lost 50 pounds so far by doing it this way. And quickly I'll just tell you guys, the first probably 2 weeks is the worst, and my doctor calls it the carb flu because you're getting rid of carbs and sugar and things like that, and you really do feel like you got the flu, but after that you feel so much better. And sometimes my sugar would drop before that, and I would get shaky and stuff, but after that it rarely, like, never does that now. So I think that's a good thing too. But absolutely check with your doctor first and things like that. But I'm very proud of you. Very, very proud of you. Okay, you guys. So today, what we're here about is let me put up my so the information for today is at the bottom of my screen on the ticker, and it's also in my description. The suspect is still at large, 45-year-old Michael Brown. Let me get everything pulled up for you guys for this. And it's been a week. I think today makes a week. It was the August the 1st when this happened. Um, Remember to make it bigger today. So this is a beautiful part of Montana. It's kind of like when they were describing it, they said that it's hemmed in by mountains, and that's kind of like what my holler is. You know, there's mountains on each side, but it looks a lot different. It's called Anaconda Deer Valley, I think. So it's two little communities together is how I figured it in my brain. But it was made in the 1800s. It's really, really old town, and there's about almost 10,000 people here, and it was created by copper barons. And see that at the top, that's a smelter, and I'm not really for sure exactly what that is, but it says that it's no longer operational. So and this incident occurred at a place called the Owl Bar. And let me show you guys that. This is the Owl Bar, and I got this on TripAdvisor. And all of the reviews that I read, everybody relates it to the bar on Cheers. Everybody is so nice, and they said that if you're a visitor there, that they treat you like family too. All of the reviews were good until recently. I have no idea why people want to do this, but they go in there and making light of what happened here. 4 people lost their lives, 4 senior citizens who should have been living in their golden years, enjoying life, and their lives were taken allegedly by one of their own, you know. Um, so let me show you guys, and then this is on the inside, and this, a lot of people, they couldn't really date back to when the Owl Bar started. Some people say it was in the 1930s, and then some people in the 1960s. But either way, it's been here since anybody can remember, basically. And then, and there's a little house next door to the Owl Bar, and I believe this is it. And this is where the suspect Michael Brown lived. 45 years old. Let me go ahead and show you guys his pictures. Let me see here. This is him. This is the first picture that they showed. This is the one that they're still showing. And I guess that's his DMV picture. But then I also found this picture. And then this one, and he has had a very rough life, and he is a veteran. And I'll tell you guys more about him after I tell you about the victims. I want to tell you guys about the victims first. So this was the first thing that I could find, and it's from the Montana Department of Justice. The Montana Division of Criminal Investigation is leading the investigation into a shooting that took place in Anaconda at the Owl Bar at approximately 10:30 this morning. 4 people have been pronounced dead and the scene is secure. This is an active investigation, and more information will be shared when available. Authorities are searching for a suspect who is believed to be armed west of Anaconda near Stumptown Road and Anderson Ranch Loop Road. We are asking people to please avoid the area. Any other questions about the search for a suspect need to be directed to the Anaconda Deer Lodge Police Department. So 4 people lost their lives, and I'll start at the youngest. This is Dan Bailey, and I don't know a whole lot about him. He had this picture as one of his profile pictures, so I think that was him when he was younger. He was 59 years old, so he was the youngest that lost his life that day. It looks like, from what I can tell, that he's originally from Idaho, but his brother moved to Anaconda in the 80s, so I'm thinking that he probably moved there to be closer to his brother. And from what I can see, he does have his brother's Facebook says that a sibling of his sibling's child, and it was another a man that shared his name with Dan Bailey, so it was Daniel Bailey. So I'm thinking that he does have a son, and that's his son. But unfortunately, that was about all that I could find about Dan. And then the next oldest was Nancy Loretta Kelly, and she was 64 years old. And she actually worked a few shifts at the bar a week. She had retired as an oncology nurse. I have quite a bit about her because her daughter shared a lot with the paper. Hey, Grateful, how are you? Good to see you. And I love flowers. How are you? I know that one. I know that one. Hi, pretty sunflower. How are you? Hmm. So she worked for more than 2 decades in the intensive care unit of a hospital in Butte before becoming an oncology nurse at the hospital in Anaconda. This is from her daughter. And her daughter said she was a wonderful nurse. She was very skilled and very gifted at what she did. Um, and when her husband of almost 30 years, Donald, when he was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, she became his caregiver for the last few years of his life, her daughter said, and he died in 2018. Um, that makes me sad, you guys, because um, he had the best caregiver as a wife who was also an oncology nurse. And it said she retired completely from nursing in 2024, and she worked at the Owl Bar shortly after that as a way to pass the time and also socialize. Um, she worked a few shifts a week, and one of the neighbors in downtown Anaconda said she knew Miss Kelly since she was a child. When Mr. Adler returned to Anaconda after being gone for a few years, she recognized him and made a point of welcoming him back. Whenever she was outside, and I was too, she would come over and talk, he said, describing her as friendly and gregarious. She was a neighbor like something out of a movie. And then I have a video of her I'll play in just a second. Another bartender down the street at the JFK bar, she had known Nancy for 10 years, and she said that she was more than a friend, more like family. She said, I was with her the night before. I throw horseshoes, and she and her boyfriend were throwing against us. She was watching him play just outside, having fun, chatting. And that's so sad, too. She had no idea what going to her job the next day would bring. And if it wouldn't have been her, it would have been another bartender. But she only worked a few shifts a week, and this happened to be one of them. But the other bartender, Jill, she says, we all used to watch football together. She was an oncology nurse, and she helped take care of my dad when he had cancer. She explained everything to my mom and me very well to understand what he was going through, shared Jill. She has a huge heart. She loves animals. Every animal loved her. She walked around town carrying bones for all the dogs. They all knew Nancy. She was just a great person who would do anything for anybody. And the reporter that wrote this, they said, other Anaconda locals I spoke with agreed with Jill. Nancy was known and loved by many. And then another fella said that she would open up her purse and have treats in there for his dog too. And that gave me an idea. Aaron bought me this little satchel that goes underneath my wheelchair that hooks underneath it, and I was thinking that's the perfect place for treats for dogs. I'm gonna take Nancy's idea and start doing that too. Oh, so let me see here. And then next is David Allen Leach, and he was 70 years old. And I could only find this one photo of Mr. Leach, and I couldn't find a whole lot about him. But his family did release a statement to the paper, and it says, um, they hold no ill feelings toward the suspect. We feel great empathy to his family, and we understand the mental anguish caused by veterans returning from the war with PTSD and other mental issues. We greatly loved and miss our younger brother, Dave. And so then we have Tony Palm, and he was the oldest, 74 years old, and I got this from his Facebook. And one of his friends actually drove back to Anaconda to pay his respects, and I do have a video from him too. And he grew up with Mr. Palm, and they used to have adventures in the hills, driving trucks and getting muddy. He said, we traveled and camped out in these hills all over, so we had a good time. And then a neighbor said he was a very nice man, and she couldn't ever see him causing trouble anywhere. And so I wanted to tell you guys about the victims first, and I have two videos. This is Mr. Palm's friend that I wanted to show you guys, and we'll hear what he has to say. Let me see here. I gotta go back, guys. I got the wrong one. I'll get us there. I'll get us there. No worries. Okay. And whenever I share a video, you guys, I always drop it in the chat too, so you guys can watch it later if you want to. So this is Mr. Palm's friend.
As the manhunt for 45-year-old Michael Brown continues into its fifth day, the people of Anaconda are continuing to remember and mourn the lives that were lost last Friday.
So I just hit town, but I wanted to find out about a funeral.
I met with Gary Satterley at the JFK bar, a place that's familiar to many in Anaconda. He'd driven from northern Idaho searching for answers and for a way to say goodbye to his old friend, Tony Wayne Palm. Tony was one of the 4 people killed in last week's shooting at the Owl Bar.
I don't know, he's a regular down there, so in the morning, so I figured, I was worried that he got shot. He was one of them.
When Gary heard the news, he had a feeling, one he hoped wasn't right. But tonight, he sits at the bar just down the street, grappling with loss. Along with Tony Palm, 64-year-old Nancy Loretta Kelly, 70-year-old David Allen Leach, and 59-year-old Daniel Edwin Bailey were also killed.
Tony was not the kind of a guy that people would have a grudge against.
Gary remembers.
That's what everybody said about all 4 of the victims, actually. I didn't hear anybody say anything that it was all good. They said that they can't see any of the 4. So it was Nancy who was the bartender, and then the other 3 were patrons. And the owner of the Owl Bar, he said that he believes that the suspect, Michael, that he just snapped. He couldn't see him having trouble with any of the 4 either.
He remembers growing up with Tony, adventures in the hills, driving trucks, and getting muddy.
We traveled and camped out in these hills all over, so we had a good time.
The years passed, their paths drifted apart. When Gary got sober, he stopped going to the places where he used to see Tony.
Our journeys separated right there, but, we're still good friends.
He says he'd always meant to stop in, to catch up, share stories, tell Tony about a herd of cows he's been raising.
And I was going to stop, but I was in a rush, thought I was. And I kind of regret now
he said he had meant to check in with his friend, but he was always in a rush, and we need to think about that more. I think that we need to slow down, and even if it's just sending a text, if we don't have time to call, text your peoples. We're in too big of a rush these days, I think.
Not stopping.
Now he's waiting in town for word on the funeral, for a chance to pay his respects, and for some kind of closure.
They're always going to be your friends, and I'm regretting that I didn't stop and see them.
In Anaconda, Megan Elaine, MTN News.
So now I have the video that I now I have the video of the Jill of the other bartender down the street at the JFK bar. She's going to tell us a little bit more about Nancy and some of the others. So let me get that for you guys.
Friday, August 1st, tragedy struck the town of Anaconda when a man walked into the Owl Bar on Washington and 3rd Street, opened fire, and shot and killed 4 people. In previous reports, we've spoken a lot about the alleged killer, Michael Brown, but who we haven't spoken a lot about yet is the 4 people who unexpectedly lost their lives.
It's just such a shock. The whole town is just heartbroken. We're just in shock.
If you were to walk a block down the street from the Owl Bar, you would see the JFK Bar, where Jill Rolls works as a bartender. Jill tells me she's known 64-year-old Nancy Loretta Kelly for 10 years.
I was with her the night before at I Throw Horseshoes, and her boyfriend was throwing against us, so she was here watching him play.
They all were really close. It seems like, even though that they worked at quote unquote competing bars, it seemed like all of the bartenders or all of the people in this downtown area were very close.
All outside having fun, chatting.
The next day, Nancy, along with 74-year-old Tony Wayne Palm, 70-year-old David Allen Leach, and 59-year-old Daniel Edwin Bailey were all shot and killed in a mass shooting. Jill tells me she doesn't know much about the other 3 victims.
I only knew Tony from coming in to the bar when I was bartending.
But Jill did know Nancy. She says Nancy was more than a friend.
She was an oncology nurse, and she helped take care of my dad when he had cancer. She explained everything to my mom and I very well.
It takes somebody really, really strong to be a nurse, but to also be an oncology nurse, because a lot of times you get to see your patients through and they have a great recovery, but sometimes it doesn't go that way, and I'm sure you get really close to your patients too. And so it's not just a loss of a patient, but probably a friend too. And so it takes somebody really, really strong to do that, in my opinion, and then to be there for their families too, if it is the worst.
To help us understand what he was going through.
Nancy wasn't just a friendly face to Jill.
She has a huge heart. She loves animals. Every animal loved her. She walked around town carrying bones for all the dogs. They all knew Nancy. She was just a great person, would do anything for anybody.
Other Anaconda locals I spoke with agreed with Jill. Nancy was known and loved by many. Even in the short time I was at the scene, several folks placed flowers and paid their respects to their 4 community members of Anaconda who lost their lives last Friday.
Oh, it's very tight-knit. Everybody knows everybody.
Jill tells me the entire town looking for justice.
It's crazy. Everybody wants to go out there, and they're mad because everybody loved Nancy so much, and they feel like he should be done the same thing to him. I hope they find him soon.
In Anaconda, Cassidy Powers, MTN News.
And what I can gather, people are very, very angry, and rightfully so. They're not just angry at at the suspect, but they're also angry at the system because they feel like it's kind of what we see in a lot of these cases. And it reminds me of Travis Dicker. You know, his family did ask for help and they didn't receive it. So now I'll tell you guys a little bit more about the suspect, but I wanted to share about the victims first with you guys. So it is 45-year-old Michael Brown, and his niece, she has been speaking out, and I'm not going to say her name, but it's easily found, and it isn't an article that I'm going to share with you guys, but I just don't feel right saying it for myself. But there was a post that was deleted, but there's parts of it that I can read to you, but this one wasn't deleted, and it was made about 4 p.m. on the day of the shooting, and it says, while you're all out here talking about things we're uncertain of, there is one thing I'm certain of: mental health is real. Um, Let me make this bigger so you guys can see it. And it goes unmanaged and dismissed every single day. There are people who search for help and get turned away at every stop along the path. There are people who cry for help and show definite warning signs of crash out. All this town does is talk and judge. Next time you want to sit here and run your mouth, check your audience. The system is broken. The system fails us. When our veterans get turned away seeking mental health help because we can't help unless it's a harm to self or others, it's heartbreaking. But another thing I know for definite is you probably shouldn't run your mouth about people you know minimum about praying for our town today. And Michael, she calls him Mike. Um, Let me get my notes here so I can tell you guys more about him. He was born and raised in Anaconda, and he served in the Army from 2001 to 2005, and he deployed to Iraq from early 2004 until March 2005. And after that, he was in the National Guard from 2006 to 2009, and he left military service at the rank of sergeant. And she said that he struggled with mental health in the Army, and it wasn't the same after his service. She said, my heart breaks for this town. There is no amount of apology or words that could ever describe how sorry I am and how I feel for these families, my own included. And this is the post that was deleted. It said in part, this isn't just a drunk, high man going wild. It's a sick man who doesn't know who he is sometimes and frequently doesn't know where or when he is either. She said that after both of his parents died, she described him as very sick, but also recalled happy moments with him, such as learning to ride a bike and fishing together. She said that she was devastated for the victims' loved ones, noting 5 families were destroyed on Friday. There are no excuses or words of defense for this awful tragedy. She said that he had been diagnosed schizophrenic and had PTSD from serving in the Army. She said that growing up he was a military brat. She said that his decline happened when her mama passed. She said the trauma from losing his last parent broke Mikey. The VA said he no longer qualified for assistance with obtaining prescriptions and help. She said he would have delusions of being a time traveler. She says he no longer drank alcohol because it blocked his quote-unquote wizard powers. Mikey is harmless 99% of the time when others aren't asking him about it and making fun of his delusions. I didn't catch that earlier. That makes me sad that people would do that. Make fun of him, get him going just to make fun of him. Oh, thank you, Neat. Yeah, they really, really are. You can tell the ones that are in healthcare for the right reasons, and most all of them are. You can definitely tell that. Yeah, absolutely. And people around the town, they said that he would have delusions like that the CIA were after him and he had to hide from them. And another man spoke about how he said that he was in the Illuminati and things like that. So people knew that he had trouble, but they never thought that he would do something like this. His niece also said that they sought help for Brown through both the Montana VA and the Montana State Hospital. The VA said he no longer qualified for assistance with obtaining prescriptions and health. The Montana State Hospital wouldn't take him unless it was a court order. The only way to obtain a court order was for Mikey to become a harm to himself and others. We warned them that a snap could happen and that he was not of sound mind, and we were still left with no answers and nowhere to turn. And then there's this quote, and she said, a lot of time people forget how hard it is for his family to watch this happen and be completely, and then it just trailed off. She just trailed off after that. And the day that this happened, somebody on the street said that they saw him walk out of his house with a rifle and then standing outside the Owl Bar that morning. So now I think it would be good if we played the first press conference was that night around 10 something, and they didn't really say a whole lot. And then the next day, they released this picture, and they said that this was all they say is that he went somewhere close to the bar and removed his personal items in his clothing. And after this, I'll also play a video of a man that lived down the street, and he said shortly after 10:30 he heard a engine revving. And what they say is that he stole a white truck that had camping gear in it. So they said that he probably got some clothes out of that, and they chased the truck. And I still can't get clear. I still can't get it clear of what happened. They said it became confusing because there was two white vehicles, and they last saw him disappearing into the brush. So they had a chance to capture him then, but he got away somehow. So now I think it'd be good if we listen to the second press conference, and it was about 48 hours after the initial shooting. And I didn't know this when I first heard his niece speaking, and after I found out what happened, what had happened before in their family, it made me feel even worse because in the year 2000, her other uncle, who is Michael's brother, his name is William, and he was in it. I think he was 22 at the time, and there was a stabbing, and I'll tell you guys more about it later. But he also took someone's life. So this is the second time that one of her uncles is alleged of doing this. So it made me feel even more for her. But we'll go ahead and listen to this now.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Montana Attorney General Austin Knudsen. At this time, we felt it was appropriate after about a 48-hour investigation to go ahead and give the public an update on what's going on and the media as well. At this point, we have identified our suspect as well as the 4 victims. So as you all know, at approximately 10:30, 10:40 in the morning on Friday, our suspect, Michael Paul Brown, entered the Owl Bar here in Anaconda, and after a brief series of actions, opened fire and shot and killed 4 local residents here in Anaconda. First of all, I want to offer our deepest and sincere condolences to the community of Anaconda and to the family and friends of these victims. This is just absolutely horrific, something like we haven't seen in the state of Montana, and thankfully we do not see these things very often in the state of Montana. At this point, I can confirm the names of our victims. 59-year-old Daniel Edwin Bailey, who was a patron at the bar that day. 64-year-old Nancy Loretta Kelly, who was the employee and bartender that morning. 70-year-old David Allen Leach, who was also a patron that morning. And finally, 74-year-old Tony Wayne Palm. All the victims were from here in Anaconda. At this point, I also want to point out the fact we've got a tremendous law enforcement response that's responded here in Anaconda. I know at one point yesterday we had over 250 boots on the ground that were helping out with the manhunt and engaged trying to find this suspect. At this point, our suspect...
In an article I read, it was, this was the weekend when they were searching for him, and they said that a lot of people had to go back to work, but there is some kind of grant I was reading about that allows the police, the law enforcement from the surrounding counties to help each other. So they did do that, and then also they have there's a $10,000 reward now. At first I think it was something like $2,500, and then it went up to $7,500, and now they have been able to get it up to $10,000. So that's good too.
Is still at large. And I'll go ahead and say this right now. We've got tremendous cooperation from Homeland Security, from our federal partners, the FBI, the U.S. Marshal Service. We want to find this guy. This is a dangerous individual who has committed an absolutely heinous crime against this community and these victims. I'll go ahead and announce right now that at this time we have a $7,500 reward, and that's just the initial reward. I'll also state that. But we have a $7,500 reward for any information that would lead us to Michael Paul Brown. We also have set up a hotline through the U.S. Marshal Service. This is really easy. 1-877-WANTED-2, the number 2. I'll give that number, 1-877-926-8332. If you have any information that would help us get to the whereabouts of our suspect, please use that number. Again, I'm going to point out we had just a tremendous local, statewide, and federal law enforcement presence to the scene. I could read off the entire list of all the agencies, but we'd be here for a while. But this is what we do in Montana. We step up, we help our neighbors, we come in, and I also want to thank the feds. The federal agencies have been tremendous help here. There have been a lot of assets. We've got air assets, ground assets. We're going to catch this guy. This is still absolutely priority number one. Probably in the next 24 hours.
So he's given the residents, assurance that they are going to catch him. And from what I can read from the articles is that at first the residents were sad, and scared. And now they're getting angry that it has taken so long and they've had to change up their routines. And some businesses are closed still, and they didn't have their smelter festival or something like that this past weekend, which was a lot of income for the town. They've had to they canceled that, and so they're getting angry now, and understandably.
You're going to see the law enforcement response shift a little bit. This is absolutely still priority number one, to find this suspect. But we've got a lot of resources here in Anaconda. They've been here for about 48 hours. They've got home agencies. It's still tourist season in western Montana, so we're not going to have as many resources here focused on the really sharp focused search. You're going to see that stance shift a little bit, but this is going to turn into a fugitive location operation at this point. So that's our update at this point. I'm happy to take a couple of questions as long as we stay cogent to the situation.
Yesterday you guys released an image and it's causing a lot of people to ask if that image was taken when he was at the scene or if it's another incident because he wasn't wearing
that news anchor was asking about the photo that I showed you guys where he had taken off his clothing. And so she was asking about that.
So the question has to do with the image that was released by the Montana Department of Justice yesterday. It showed the individual largely naked in his underwear and his socks, I believe. That was relatively soon after the crime was committed. We know he went to another location not far away. He got rid of some personal belongings and he got rid of his clothes. We have very good reason to believe that he is clothed. He does have shoes and he's probably able to get around. There was some time there where the vehicle he ended up grabbing was loaded full of equipment. It was not his vehicle, it was a stolen vehicle, but there was camping equipment in it. We believe there was some clothing in it. So at this point, we have every reason to believe the suspect is fully clothed, shoes on his feet, able to get around.
When's the last time he was seen by law enforcement?
I couldn't answer that question. I don't know that particularly. I think there was a pursuit roughly around noon on Friday. There was some confusion because there were two white vehicles that were involved. There was some federal assets that were involved in that pursuit.
So that's what I was telling you guys about the neighbor. I'll find that video so we can listen to that next. But that's what he was talking about. So I didn't really understand this. It wasn't clear to me. So the stolen truck was white, and he's saying there was some confusion, and it sounds like he's trying to blame the feds, in my opinion, because he said something about there was some federal people involved. We'll have to listen to that little part again.
Roughly around noon on Friday, there was some confusion because there were two white vehicles that were involved. There was some federal assets that were involved in that pursuit. But I believe that was the last law enforcement contact, was a roughly noon, 12:30, right around that time Friday.
Has anybody else been arrested or questioned in relation to helping Michael Brown out?
At this point, I mean, all options are on the table. The investigation is still ongoing. I don't have any specifics about that, but definitely the investigation is continuing. Let's grab somebody else.
What type of firearm did he use for the crime, and does you believe he still has that?
So we can confirm that it was a rifle. At this point, I'm not going to give out a bunch of more information about that. We do know the individual had access to firearms. We believe he was probably still armed and dangerous. But we can confirm that it was a rifle that was used on the scene.
Do you know where he got the rifle?
We believe it was one of his own personal rifle.
Did he know the victim?
I don't have any information about that. The question was, did he know the victims? The sprinklers are wonderful. From what I have gathered, it sounds like he was a regular at this establishment. He literally lived next door. I think it's likely that he knew the bartender and these patrons, which makes this even more heinous.
So if he has committed suicide?
If you guys hear that in the background, it's the sprinklers in the, I think it's the last press conference that I have for you guys. It about gets them all.
Are y'all using cadaver dogs to look for him?
We've got multiple assets up. We're exploring every option here. Yeah, could
That fellow was asking, he said if he committed self-harm, if they were using cadaver dogs to look for him, and Knutson said they are.
he have committed suicide or be dead? Yep. But we are acting under the assumption that he is alive, well armed, and extremely dangerous.
Have there been previous reports on Mr. Brown to the local police? Has he had citations here?
The only information I have about that is I believe there probably is some criminal record. I think he's known to local law enforcement. That's all
I think Law and Crime on the video that they had, and it was I watched that, you guys, and it's not telling a whole lot more than what we know here, but he did say that there wasn't any criminal history for him. They did check that out, and when the attorney general here says that he's known to law enforcement, that it might just be because he's known because they're all living in a small town. So he doesn't have any criminal history, I don't believe.
Public record if he's got an arrest warrant or arrest records out there, but I don't have any specific information about that right now.
Is the search area still the same as it was Friday and Saturday?
Yes.
I've heard from local people, especially one man who said he brought Michael hunting when he was a child. They've said that that area is where he would go to hunt. Do you have people that are familiar with the area back there? Searching for him and might know if he had like camped out or made a stash or something.
She's saying that somebody that knew him, that they used to go camping up there when he was a child, so he knew the area very well. And another resident I had in my notes, that she said that he is a survivalist and he could stay out in the wilderness for a long time if he needed to.
I can tell you that we've got very detailed information on the search area. We've got a lot of expertise, a lot of knowledge of the area. We've got every cabin, every hunting site that's known up there pinned, and there is a tremendous number of assets focused on searching that area.
Is there a sense of whether
too many?
Is there a sense of whether this was an impulsive act or a planned act?
Don't have any information about that this time. We don't know.
Concerns he might come back into town?
Absolutely, there's concerns he might come back into town. This, by all indications, this is an unstable individual who walked in and murdered 4 people in cold blood for no reason whatsoever. So there absolutely is concern for the public. Again, I'm going to stress, we believe this is an armed and extremely dangerous individual. I'm going to ask the public to be vigilant. This is still Montana. Montanans know how to take care of themselves. But please, if you have any sightings, call 911. If you see anything that looks out of the ordinary, strange, call 911. If you have a tip, call that tip line, 1-877-WANTED, and the number 2, 1-877-926-8332. But if you see something local, call 911. Get us out there, even if you're not sure.
Does infrared work only at night, or does that work in the daytime?
No, thermal works at daytime also,
Okay.
and those assets are deployed. They're in the air.
Okay.
Yep.
I know you stressed there were a lot of boots on the ground since the search began. Are we still using air resources at this time?
Yes, we still have air resources in the air from some of our federal partners, from some of our local neighboring partners. And again, this is a testament to Montana and to Montana law enforcement. Something like this happens, tragedies happens, people show up and we help out. So we really want to thank our neighboring agencies who's given. Hope your mic.
They one of them also asked if it was an impulsive act or planned out, and he said that he didn't know. So I didn't know if you guys caught that part or not. There is I also wanted to tell you guys about something else, and this might be a good place to tell you guys about that. This is not the first time that there's been a quadruple murder in this area too. I told you guys about the stabbing that his brother did. His brother is actually serving 110 years in prison for that, 100 years for the murder, and then 10 years for the use of a deadly weapon. And that occurred in 2000, and he was sentenced in 2002 for that. But this occurred in June of 2015, and this I wanted to mention because this is only an area of 10,000 people, like I said. So with the murder that his brother committed, and then this one, and then the one that he's alleged to have committed, that's 9 murders in the last 25 years. It seems like, that doesn't seem like good statistics to me. But so I wanted to tell you guys about this. This is he went by Augustine Borns, and this is his wife, Ari Lee. And they I'll show you guys this. He called an acquaintance on in June of 2015, and he told the acquaintance, who ended up calling it into police, that he used a handgun to kill his wife Ari, 37, and his two sons. They were so Augustine was 59 and his wife Ari was 37. And then they had a 5-year-old named Gus, a 4-year-old named Woodrow, and then Ari, who was just 15 months. She was named after her mama. But he called an acquaintance and said that he killed his whole family. Oh, trigger warning, you guys. Big trigger warning. He killed his sons outside and brought them in, and then he killed his baby girl. And then he set the house on fire and then turned the gun on himself. So this area has dealt with a lot of tragedy in the last 25 years. I wanted to tell you guys about let me see if it's this article. It's a little bit about this family too. So five people. And this says they got a call Sunday morning from a man described only as an acquaintance of Michael Augustine Borns, saying that Borns had just killed his wife and 3 children and planned to take his own life. I then went up to the station, talked to the acquaintance by telephone, and asked him what Michael said and why would he do this. The acquaintance stated that Michael had said his wife had been mocking him and riding him all day. Okay, that's not, we all get angry at our significant others and our family members, but that can't be it. There has to be something else. Let me, this wasn't the one that I wanted to read to you guys. This tells more about the family here. And it said that he was also described as a survivalist living off the grid. It says that he may have been a constitutionalist who didn't believe in government from the books that they found, but it said that they described the couple as survivalists on the fact that the residence was off the grid or not hooked up to public utilities. Said the family had moved to the area from New Mexico nearly 3 years ago, but was unknown to the department. Little is known of his motive other than when the acquaintance called and threatened harm to his wife and children. This wasn't it either. There was one that told a lot about the family that I wanted to read to you guys. Let me find it, because I believe that it is important to tell about them too. So this is a woman that owns a restaurant in Main Street where the couple and their kids would often eat. And she says, I met the whole family actually. They came into the restaurant on many occasions. Sat here and ate. My husband and I, we held her baby so she could eat. We've chatted with the kids. We've chatted with her. She was wonderful. She was such a sweet girl. It was always an uncomfortable situation because he would make her hurry up and finish, and they would leave even if she wasn't done. She just seemed like kind of docile, that she was really controlled by him. So this sounds like an incident of domestic violence, you guys. It says, in a booth nearby, high school senior Tiana Alberry remembers working with Ari, the mom, on a community theater production just a few days ago. We were painting sets for a cast workday for To Kill a Mockingbird, and we were all just joking around, and she seemed fine. She was pretty upkept and kept to herself, but she would still joke around. Alberry, too, remarked how normal the family appeared. I saw her around town with kids a lot, like at Safeway or restaurants. You wouldn't think anything was going on with how well behaved all the kids were, she said. In the next booth over, Ed Murphy of Warm Springs was chatting with a friend. He too knew the family and knew what their loss is doing in the community. I'm friends with their coach, who coached their 2 boys in t-ball, and she is devastated. She, like all her kids, but they were among her top favorites. Woodrow and Gus, they were smart little kids. Woodrow was I think he was probably 3 the first time he spelled his name for me. Also, she worked with him a lot too. Murphy says Augustine appeared to be a loving dad who enjoyed being with his kids, but he too noticed something troubling in the man's behavior. I knew he was very, very angry and unhappy and very difficult to talk to. I knew he was angry, but I couldn't imagine anybody being that angry. And the police chief said that the family members will receive mandatory. So the officers who responded to the crime scene will receive mandatory counseling to deal with the experience. The people of this community will have to deal with the murder, suicide in their own way. They are already talking about it with each other at places like Mariah's restaurant. So I thought that was important, you guys, because this isn't the first time that the community has dealt with something so horrendous, and I hope that so that was 10 years ago now, 2015. So I hope that the officers are receiving help for this situation too. That really got to my heart, you guys, and I thought that they deserve to be spoken about too, since I was speaking about this area right now. So we'll go back to this now. So that was the second press conference that we watched. That was about 48 hours after the initial shooting. So now we'll go back to our timeline. So that was on the 3rd. And then they had another press conference on the 5th. And I think we'll watch this, and this gets us, there hasn't really been anything else after this. Let me make it bigger for you guys. Let me see here.
So good morning. Today I'm joined by members of several Montana law enforcement agencies to provide an update on the current situation in Anaconda following the shooting last Friday. Before I begin, I'd like to take a moment of silence to acknowledge the loss of 4 Montanans: 59-year-old Daniel Edwin Bailey, 64-year-old Nancy Loretta Kelly, 70-year-old David Allen Leach, and 74-year-old Tony Wayne Palm. Thank you. May God rest their souls and comfort their families at this difficult time. I've spoken with members of the victims' families and shared condolences on behalf of the people of Montana. Please keep them in your prayers. Moments ago, I received a briefing on the status of the ongoing investigation and the search for the suspect. With me here today are Attorney General Austin Knudsen, Montana Division of Criminal Investigation Administrator Lee Johnson, Montana Highway Patrol Major Justin Braun, General Mike Marini from the Montana National Guard, Anaconda Deer Lodge Police Chief Bill Sather, Anaconda Deer Lodge County Attorney Morgan Smith, U.S. Marshal Craig Anderson, and FBI Assistant Special Agent in Charge Richard Bauer. Thank you all for being here. According to the Montana Department of Justice, on Friday, August 1st, around 10:30, 45-year-old Michael Brown walked into the Owl Bar and opened fire, killing 4 people before fleeing the scene. At this time, Michael Braun continues to be at large. Since the tragic event, our Montana law enforcement officers have been unrelenting in their pursuit, working around the clock to bring this suspect, Michael Brown, to justice for his heinous acts. I recently received an update from the Montana National Guard on their assistance with the search. Since Friday, a helicopter from the Helena Battalion, as well as 4 soldiers, have flown over 19 hours as of Sunday to assist with the search and to provide transportation of law enforcement personnel into this remote area in the mountains. Working alongside these folks standing beside me, all partners will continue the pursuit of this criminal. Once found, I have no doubt that the Montana Department of Justice will prosecute this killer to the full extent of the law, to bring justice to those grieving the loss of a loved one and solace to members of the Anaconda community. Rest assured, our brave men and women of law enforcement aren't giving up. And I ask you that you not give up on them either. Think of them in your prayers and support them and their families as you can. Yesterday I spoke with Police Chief Sather. Under Montana law, I'm able to release emergency funds to law enforcement if local agency requests it. This morning,
this is what I was telling you guys about. I'm glad that they were able to release the funds. That's something else that we don't think about, is the cost of a manhunt like this. And this is an unpopulated area, only of about 10,000 people, so they don't have funds extra like this. So I am glad that they were able to do that too.
Received that request from Anaconda Deer Lodge, and moments ago I signed an executive order to support the efforts of local law enforcement. While the state has already been supporting this investigation with staff and aviation assets, this action today will ensure additional financial resources are available as we continue to track down this criminal. In particular, these additional financial resources from the State Emergencies Response Fund will help pay local law enforcement's overtime and to continue the search. At this time, I'd like to invite County Attorney Morgan Smith to share a few words on behalf of the Chief and the Anaconda community. Morgan?
Thanks, Governor. Good afternoon. I'd like to first start out and talk to the families of Daniel, David, Nancy, and Tony. Our thoughts and prayers remain with you. My office will be reaching out to all of the victim families and want you to know that there are services and financial assistance that is available through the Victim Witness Advocate and through the Montana Crime Victim Compensation Fund. Recognizing all that is on your plate right now as you experience this tragedy, if there is assistance that the Victim Advocate can provide or that my office can provide, we would love to do so. To the Anaconda community, if I can speak for both Chief Sather and myself.
Well, I hope that they reached that seemed kind of, well, maybe she's talking to the ones that they haven't been able to get a hold of, because I was just thinking hopefully they were able to reach out to all the victims' families privately too,
We understand the desire for more information. This manhunt has involved individuals from 38 local, state, and federal agencies, and coordination of hundreds from all of those agencies has been a very difficult task. They are responding to every call, to every tip, and they're tirelessly searching the area where the suspect is believed to be. I understand the pit in your stomach every time you've heard sirens in our community the last 5 days. I experienced the same. Any call that comes in of a potential sighting of Michael Paul Brown, or a suspicious person in an unexpected place, or a concern that you can't reach a loved one and you have concern that they have been harmed, every single one of those calls has been responded to. And every time those calls come in, they're treated as though they are going to be the call that results in the apprehension of Michael Paul Brown. The officer response to these calls has been immense. For those of you that have homes or have property in the Stumptown area, we hear your call for questions. We hear your concerns of access to your property and safety of your homes. The agencies that are working with Anaconda law enforcement are working to set up a process for communication with you so you'll have a clear understanding of your access to your home and to your property. When you're seeing lights and sirens pass your house, we're understanding that you want answers. However, we ask that you remain patient and know that the investigation is ongoing. There's information law enforcement cannot release to the public for potential of jeopardizing an ongoing investigation, and there's information that law enforcement cannot release.
I'm not sure if it's in this press conference or an article I read, but they said that they do believe they're searching in the right area and they do believe that he's still alive. So that leads me to believe that they found some kind of evidence in that area still to make them think that. We'll see if they say it here.
For fear of creating additional safety risk to law enforcement officers or to the community at large. When the dust settles and our community is safe again, we will answer all of the questions that we are able to. In the meantime, we ask that you take information that you see on social media with a grain of salt. We ask that you refrain from sharing information that you do not know to be true. The specific facts that will later be necessary for the prosecution of this case are not necessarily relevant for the apprehension of Michael Paul Brown, nor do they ensure in keeping the public safe. The priority of all of the folks standing here before you is the apprehension of Michael Paul Brown. We ask that you be kind. We ask that you look out for your neighbors and recognize that while state and federal agencies are here and they're working really hard, your local police force and your local dispatchers are working right alongside these agencies. They're also continuing to respond and patrol our community, respond to 911 calls, and remain involved in active ongoing investigations. Thank you.
Thank you, Morgan. Now, Attorney General Austin Knudsen will share more information on the resources available for reporting a tip to assist in the arrest and capture of this suspect.
Thank you, Mr. Governor. I'm Attorney General Austin Knudsen. I want to first say thank you to the Governor. This release of assets and resources for law enforcement is going to allow us to keep this manhunt going. This is very labor intensive. It's very resource intensive. These tactical teams and the manpower out here, knowing the state of Montana has stepped up and is going to offset some of those costs is a huge continuance for us. So thank you, Mr. Governor. Also want to thank the law enforcement crowd that's here. What you're seeing behind me is tremendous. This is nothing short of remarkable for a law enforcement response in the state of Montana. This is what we do. Something bad happens and neighbors respond. And we've got local agencies, we've got county sheriffs, local municipalities, but I also want to thank our federal partners. We've got the FBI here, we've got the U.S. Marshals Service. This allows us to keep more resources focused at catching this individual. With that, I want to announce that the U.S. Marshals Service has increased our reward for any information that will lead to the capture of Michael Paul Brown. The U.S. Marshals Service has now put up $10,000.
Brian, I'm seeing this. Thank you so very much. Okay, you guys, he is now in custody, and Brian was so gracious to tell us about this, and let me show you guys what I'm looking at. Thank you so very much, Brian. I'm going to find that Facebook page for us. I'll let you guys keep watching this and I'll find it for us.
For any tip that leads to his apprehension. The tip line, and this is important, 1-877 wanted 2, the number 2, wanted 2, and I'll give you the digits. 1-877-926-8332. Again, it's a $10,000 reward currently for any information that's going to lead to the apprehension of Michael Paul Brown. We want to get this guy rounded up. This is our top focus in the entire.
Okay, guys, I will. This is from the Granite County Sheriff's Office. It says Anaconda shooting suspect in custody. Oh, thank God, you guys. Thank God for that. Absolutely. Brian Walsh, thank you so much for coming in to tell us that. It says the 7-day manhunt for Anaconda's shooting suspect appears to have come to a close Friday. According to Lewis and Clark County Sheriff Leo Dutton, law enforcement has taken Michael Brown, 45, into custody alive. MTM has also received similar reports from residents in the area of the search. This is a developing story, and we will provide updates as soon as we can. I think this is the one that we're watching right now. I am going to, let me see what we can do. Yes, Neat Noodle. Thank you. Thank you, Brian. I'm going to see what else I can find, but I do have a video of it is an ex-FBI, a former FBI agent who talks about how that somebody would, how they would catch somebody like this. So I'm going to let this play for us, and I'm going to see what else I can find. And I thought it was very interesting because what we can listen to is also, it would also be how they would catch somebody like Travis Decker too. So I was thinking about both of these men while I was watching that. So I'll let us watch that, and then I'll see what else I can find.
An investigation of this scale entail?
You're going to have to speak a little louder, Phil. Sorry.
What does an investigation of this scale entail?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind is that you have to learn the background of the subject. They've spoke about how he was in the Army at one time in the reserves, and you have to figure out, what he can do and can't do. And you should glean some of that through interviews with associates, friends, family members, anybody that's available. And the next thing you need to consider, of course, is what kind of how many people do you have to assist in this? And from what I've seen, and I've been following the story, from what I've seen and heard, this has become a large-scale operation, considering the magnitude of what Mr. Brown did in shooting 4 other people, which is Montana. We don't have many things like that going on in this state, as you well know.
How does the process work, and how does the FBI coordinate with other law enforcement agencies?
Well, what will usually happen is that the locals, this is a local matter, but now that he's fled, they can always obtain a federal UFAP warrant. That's an unlawful flight to avoid prosecution. So the local law enforcement, be it the local PD or the sheriff's office, or maybe even the state police, they will put out a broadcast to gather assistance. And so the magnitude of this is that you get as many people as you think is necessary. And if he has fled to the Georgetown area and over there by the lake, then now we're talking about, some rough country.
What type of specialized FBI teams are typically involved in large coordinated manhunts like this one, and what are their respective roles?
Well, their role is to assist. So what they will do is you gather around as the people that you have available, and you have to set up teams. They'll have a map, and they'll assign certain sections or sectors to the teams, and they're going to have to begin a grid search. And what they want to use is every available resource, be it dogs, horses, people on foot. helicopters, and the FBI has some of these things that they can assist with. So whatever the call is, um, when the call goes out, whatever they can provide, and the FBI has a lot of resources at its disposal. We have a lot of agents here in Montana. They all report to Salt Lake City Division. Montana does not have a what we call a head office here. So we have resident agencies, and the agents, they're all assigned as per the supervisors can allow them to go out based upon other things going on.
Okay, guys, there's one article that I can't pull up for you right now, but I'll read it to you. It says Brown was found Friday afternoon near the ranch bar, 13177 Montana Highway 1. Senator Steve Daines of Montana thanked law enforcement officials who helped apprehend Brown. For the past week, Anaconda and the surrounding community showed the country the resilience and grit that makes Montana special, he said in an email. Our thoughts continue to be with the victims and their families. So that's wonderful. Absolutely wonderful, you guys. I'm going to look and see where the ranch bar is.
How is evidence such as the abandoned truck and camping gear processed and used to shape an ongoing investigation?
Well, they usually assign what we call an evidence response team, and that's the FBI. That's what we call it, an evidence response team. And those agents are tasked solely with gathering evidence, and that evidence has to be carefully handled. They separate it. It's put in whatever kind of container that is required for that particular evidence. So those agents are assigned to gather and process, and then it's sent off either to the state lab or sometimes it goes back to the FBI laboratory for processing.
And I don't know if like in your career or anything, what does camping gear like does that specifically impact how teams handle the investigation? Like are they thinking like for search efforts?
Well, when you have a case like this where somebody's fled what I would call into the wilderness, into the mountains, everybody comes prepared. They're prepared to sleep in their own sleeping bags. They're prepared to face the elements. Something favorable for this particular investigation, it's not the middle of winter. And it's a lot easier to well, just to live there, and everything gets provided. You have support people bringing food and water, and communication, of course, is very important. And if they're in the mountains, sometimes communication can become a problem. But communication, no matter how much you plan, something's going to go wrong, and you have to plan for what's going to go wrong. And everybody needs to know how to.
Okay, let me show you guys this. So this was the snapshot I was able to take, and it said that he was found Friday afternoon near the ranch bar, 13177 Montana Highway 1. So let me show you guys what I found. The ranch bar at 13177 Highway 1. So it looks like it's just a bar, you guys, in the area, and it's in Anaconda. So it seems like that he was found not far from where the shootings took place. Oh my goodness, you guys, this is crazy. I'm going to see what else I can find quickly.
Are there specialized techniques used in mountainous areas that differ from investigations in urban areas?
Well, they would probably, I'm guessing, I haven't heard that yet or seen that yet, but helicopters and airplanes And, some of those aircraft are equipped with what we call the heat-seeking options, if you will, where they can detect movement. But of course, in the wilderness, you're going to have other animals that will show a heat reflection as much as a human being. So this is like finding the needle in the haystack, but if you do it in an organized manner with grid searches, that's where everybody assigned a certain area, and you need to comb that very thoroughly. And what you're looking for, of course, is evidence, signs of somebody being in that area. And in the Old West, of course, we called it tracking. So they've got people that know how to track. And again, I haven't seen that yet, but I presume they're going to be using some dogs.
Nate Eaton has also reported that he's been captured. You guys, I'm kind of freaking out because this is the best possible outcome after such a tragedy, after the 4 lives have been lost. I'm just so glad that he didn't hurt anybody else, law enforcement wise, or himself. I'm so thankful that he didn't hurt himself too, you guys, because this happens all too often. 3 miles or so west of Anaconda. Okay, thank you, Brian Walsh. Hey, Heather Pratt, good to see you. I hope it went well. Hey, Nature Rocks, good to see you too, you guys. I was going over I was trying to get out as much awareness as possible that I could about Michael Brown, and Brian Walsh came in and told us that he'd been captured, and it's true. It's true, you guys. They found him. It looks like at a bar, at another bar, and I looked it up, and Brian Walsh says it's about 3 or so miles west of Anaconda, and Nate Eaton, that's what he's saying too, that he was captured. So I'm just so glad, you guys. I'm overwhelmed. I'm overwhelmed, is what I am. Um, I'll keep looking, you guys. Let me see if there's anything else that I can tell us right now. So let me see here. Yep. So that's what I found. The Ranch Bar. See, apprehended Friday afternoon, the Ranch Bar. And then this is what I found when I searched in the Ranch Bar. See? And thanks for Brian to tell us that it was only about 3 miles west of Anaconda. So it's just so wonderful. It's wonderful. I can't wait to see. I would. I know that the residents here haven't been able to rest properly or grieve properly since this happened to them, and I'm hopeful that they can get a good night's rest tonight. Absolutely. Um, I'm not able to. Let me see if there's anything else here that I wanted to show you guys. We can look at this. I told you guys about Michael's niece. You know, she's been speaking up for how that they tried to get him help and things like that. And she posted this on the 6th. And let me see here. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, you guys. I don't know what I did there. Let's see here. There we go. Oh my goodness. Okay, she says, this will be the last statement I give on the matter until we as families have the final answers and Mikey is apprehended one way or the other. I want to address the idea that people think I should be ashamed or embarrassed. I am not ashamed and I am not embarrassed. She absolutely should be neither. To talk about and stand for the truth and raise awareness to a huge issue in our country and several others. This is a problem globally. I am not ashamed to stand up for being caring and loving family to a very sick man. What's shameful is how ignorant others are and how closed-minded to mental health we have become. What's shameful is the lack of knowledge for mental health we have. What's embarrassing is what we call healthcare in this country and how we treat the very people who lay their lives down for it. The biggest struggle is watching people who know Mikey as a person say things they know in their hearts aren't 100% true because they are hurt, and knowing there's nothing I can do that help or erase that grief. Hell, I can't even blame them for it. It's devastating. Let me see, you guys. I cut off the last of it. Let me see if I can get it back so that I can at least read it to you guys. What's shameful is the lack of knowledge for mental health we have. Let me see here. Okay, the biggest struggle is watching people who know Mikey as a person say things they know in their hearts aren't 100% true because they are hurt, and knowing there's nothing I can do to help that hurt or ease that grieving. Hell, I can't even blame them for it. It's devastating, and their hearts are broken. Our hearts are bleeding for each and every one of them. Nancy Kelly was a very close friend of ours. Not a lot of people know, or maybe they do know by now. Nancy was with us the entire time my grandma was going through treatment. Late night calls to check in, drop bys the house to make sure we didn't need anything. Not only do we now suffer the trauma of what has happened in our family, but we grieve a wonderful woman and nurse who was taken before she even got the chance to enjoy the life she worked so hard to build. Grief doesn't even begin to cover what I personally feel for this community. I hope that some of the world wakes up in light of this. Mental health can no longer be ignored in our state and our country. As I stated yesterday, we can't change the actions of one man, but maybe we can change the future for our next veteran. Well, bless her heart, you guys. She looks like a young girl too, and that was so beautifully and eloquently said. I don't think there's anything else to say really. I I really don't. Hey guys, all you guys are coming in. Um, Let me see here. Hey Miss JC, how are you? It's good to see you. And Carl, good to see you too. He says, oh really, JC? I didn't know that. I don't know if you caught it, but somebody came in, Brian came in and told us that he was captured, and we did verify that he was captured, but that's about all that all that I've been able to find. Nothing else has come out yet. Carl says healthcare here certainly does suck. That's for sure. It absolutely does, and it's a probably $1 trillion business too, which makes it even more sad. Um, I don't know what I've done to my, let's see here. There we go. Oh my goodness, you guys. I didn't like how that was. I'm glad I got us back. I think that I can go ahead and, tell you guys about, I was going to tell you guys about a good story for today that I have. Let me see if I can find it. Um, it was a kidnapping that was stopped by the girl's mother. It was on July 18th at Fair Oaks Mall. I believe that's in Virginia. And it said that officers responded to a reporting abduction. He picked up the child mere seconds after she exited the play area, and her father was watching another child, and she slipped away. And the abductor picked her up when she walked out of the little play area and had already taken her upstairs to another shop. And the mother saw him with her kid, and she's like, "What are you doing with my kid?" and stopped him. But he escaped. But he is 26-year-old Andre Caceres Jalden, and he did escape, but they were able to use cameras and they caught him at a nearby hotel. And he has been charged with theft of grand theft auto, and then also with the abduction of her. And so he had a very bad criminal history, and he shouldn't have been out in the first place. But I'll show you guys the video about that, and then I'll let you guys, and I'll see what else I can find about Michael Brown and about his capture.
To the video that is every parent's worst nightmare. A man caught on camera accused of abducting a little girl inside the Fair Oaks Mall. But Fairfax County Police have arrested.
Let me show you guys. I have the video that we can see it better, and I'll show that to you guys first. It's so scary. She wanders out of that little play area. I don't know if you can see my mouse, but it's over there. And her dad was watching her little sibling, and it was 30 seconds or less. I think the news anchor said 22 seconds, and this guy snatched her up. How many times have we been to the mall and seen places like this? And who would have thought this could happen? See, there she comes so quickly. And he saw her and turned around. 22 seconds, the news anchor said that she counted. And he already scoops her up, not thinking to help her find her parents, but to snatch her up and take her out of there. And look at her. She is such a sweet baby. She doesn't know who this man is, you know? Bless her little heart. So now we can watch this this video.
Him. And tonight, 7 News' Christian Flores is digging into the suspect's criminal history.
It's striking that somebody could do this in broad daylight and no one would notice.
Scary moments inside the Fair Oaks Mall. A toddler grabbed at a popular play area for children. According to Fairfax County Police, Andres Caceres Haldin even made it to the upper level of the mall before the child's parents stopped him. With the help of their real-time crime center, officers arrested him soon after, also discovering he allegedly stole a car earlier that day.
This can happen right under people's noses, and no one would know the better.
7 News on your side, digging into the suspect's lengthy criminal history, detailing more than 30 cases in Fairfax County, including a felony charge just weeks before the alleged abduction for not stopping at the scene of a car accident. He has also been charged with assault and battery of a family member and malicious wounding, but records show Fairfax County Commonwealth's attorney Steve Descano declined prosecuting these two cases.
It's really disturbing that somebody with
30 charges? 30 charges. I wonder why that they decided not to prosecute those few. Thank goodness that that her mama saw her and stopped this. But I don't even want to think what his intentions were to do to that baby, you guys. But he shouldn't have ever been out to have that chance.
the criminal history this long, and he was released to the public. That shouldn't have happened.
7 News on your side, asking Toscano's office why Caceres Haldane was not in custody given his criminal history, and if he's pushing to keep him in custody for these new charges. We will let you know what his office says.
If this individual is criminally dangerous, then he needs to be in prison. And now that almost resulted in either the harm or the loss of life of a small child. This strikes at the heart of public safety in Fairfax County.
Christian Flores, 7 News.
4 family members gunned down in cold blood, and a
You can tell what I've been watching. That's in my algorithm too. Yeah, I made that for you, Carl. I knew that was your favorite. I think that that's all that I have for you guys today. I'm definitely going to see what else I can find. I just can't believe that the person we were sharing awareness out, that is the best possible outcome, you guys, that he's captured. The whole town can start to grieve properly now, and he can start to get the help that he obviously needs. Usually I would be more tough about somebody who did this, and it's absolutely awful, but we can't overlook the fact that the healthcare system, totally failed him, and all of these victims and their families too. Let me share Van's link, you guys. Please go check out Vanessa. She has a great channel and is always posting wonderful stuff about nature, and she'll make you want to get back out there and get to it. Oh, Carl, I'm glad. I'm very glad. Yeah. I know that I've seen that you did that around, so I didn't do what it really says, but I did that for you. I'm glad, buddy. Okay, I love you all, and I'll see you next time. Don't forget to take your vitamins. Check with your doctor first. Don't sue me. Take your vitamins and say your prayers. And I love you all, and I'll see you next